I just don't believe that's even possible. So understand, I'm not sitting here wondering if you killed your daughter.
Hello and welcome to True Crime Rocket Science, the most authentic voice in true crime. In this episode, we're going back to the 12th of November 2021, when that was day 150 essentially of Summer Wells' disappearance, where the Wells parents of 5-year-old Summer Wells, appeared on Dr. Phil, and kind of you would think that based on a lot of what happened, that was quite a good outcome for them. I mean, you actually had Dr. Phil saying to them, it's very clear to me that neither of you did anything to hurt your daughter. And so one would think that they sort of were validated by Dr. Phil, and they came out of that validated. I've already spoken a little bit about the fact that it seems as though that interview backfired, especially for Candice. We've never seen Candice so emotional. You can actually see the tears in her eyes when she quits the interview. And so it really wasn't a good look. And they've been trying to do damage control on their website ever since. And somebody else said that Don Wells in particular is very upset about that particular aspect, or suspected that he was. And we've kind of been under this impression that Don is controlling the narrative. Well, that was certainly a huge speed bump in the narrative, right? Well, in this episode, we're going to go back to the Dr. Phil interview, and I'm going to bring up 3 kind of astonishing insights from that interview from Dr. Phil himself. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do. Like, share, leave a comment, and let's get started. So the first of the 3 we've already dealt with. It's the one where he says, it's very clear to me that neither of you did anything to hurt your daughter. And although I've really dealt with that in a previous video, I just want to bring it up here to say, I think part of why that was necessary to say was to give the parents kind of the assurance that they were in a safe place. And I played another little clip at the beginning of this episode where he says something similar to that. Basically just that, you know what, I don't think there's a possibility that you harmed Summer, etc., etc. And that is then providing a platform for them to open up and be willing to be interviewed/interrogated, and you can decide which one ultimately occurred. But it's a situation where the parents have lost a child and are suspected by the public, and they then go on a show where the person that is hosting the show kind of gives them the green light, saying, you know, I'm an influential person. I don't think that you are guilty of hurting your child, right? But that's not where it ends, and that's where we come to the 2 other aspects that are quite interesting. The first one being where Dr. Phil starts to go into a different area, where he kind of asks, was Summer a daddy's girl or a mama's girl?
She stuck close to the house. Was she a daddy's girl or a mama's girl?
She was a daddy's girl.
Daddy's girl?
Now, what's quite interesting with that question is Candice smiles. She doesn't show a lot of positive emotion. There's crying and there's sort of a blank slate. There's not really a lot of positive emotion, but here there certainly is. Here you do see Candice almost trying to stifle a smile, actually, and then glancing over to Don, who doesn't say much. And another thing that's quite interesting with this video, it was published on the 12th of November. It's since been unlisted, so it's no longer available on Dr. Phil's archive. Now, what I want to kind of direct your attention to is, on the one hand, Dr. Phil has said to them, I don't think there's a possibility that you were involved, or words to that effect. I don't think that you harmed your daughter, or words to that effect. And then there's this question, was Summer a daddy's girl, addressed to Candice, and then her smiling, right? And Don not really saying much, not sort of enthusiastically saying, yeah, we had a really great relationship and I really miss her, or anything like that. Think about that, given what has been said. Quite awkward, isn't it? Was Summer a daddy's girl? Dr. Phil asked the question, and Candice kind of has a blank, emotionless expression, but here, as I say, there's quite a lot of emotion and reaction. She smiles, she looks at Don. It feels like a loaded question and answer, and that Candice is smiling out of irony because she seems to have kind of daddy issues herself. Bear in mind there's quite a big age gap between herself and Don. And Don actually met Candice, I think, through her stepsisters or something like that, or the other way around. So there is quite a big age gap. Candice was previously in a relationship with a guy much older than her. And Don seems either moved by the allegation that Summer was a daddy's girl, in the sense of choked up, or something else, or both. Then there's also this talk about we try to socialize with our church on Dr. Phil. Not too much critical thinking about around that. But if you think about it, has Robin, for example, ever come around for a drink or a smoke at Chalet Wells? Then it's incredible how quickly Candice transitions from blank to tears, actual tears in her eyes. And I'm not going to go into that aspect because it's been dealt with by a lot of other channels. But that then brings us to the third area. And I think it's important to juxtapose these in the same video instead of putting them in separate ones, just to get a sense of almost three different aspects to the Dr. Phil show, and from Dr. Phil himself speaking to these people. So you have the green light scenario where, I don't think you are involved, or I don't think you harmed your daughter, right? That's a green light sort of scenario. Then there's the sort of amber where it's kind of a ambiguous question of, was Summer daddy's girl? And one wonders, did Dr. Phil mean that? Was it just a sincere, open question, or was it kind of a loaded question? Was there something behind that, right? And then you get to the red light question, which isn't really directed towards them. It's done in their absence with the folks from the behavior panel. So if you were the audience watching this, you kind of may have gotten this weird sense that, wow, Dr. Phil thinks that the Wells folks are entirely innocent, entirely, I don't want to say good, but they are justified, kind of thing. And that the criticisms from certain people are entirely unjustified. And there wasn't really much discussion of what was dysfunctional in the Wells household. There was a little bit where I think they spoke about making the home safer, but not really much talk about substances or things like that. Now, what's quite interesting also is the behavior panel actually have a clip of Dr. Phil saying, if you're smart, subscribe to their channel. And then you also have them on his show. And then there's this quite interesting moment at 4 minutes 22 into a video titled Parents of Missing Summer Wells Sit Down with Body Language Experts. And I'll put a link to that in the description, where he basically expresses a little bit of suspicion about the credibility, the believability, the perhaps honesty of the reliability, I guess, of what Candice said to them about being able to hear the basement door open very clearly. And then you actually have the interview room's footage played and the door actually opening, making quite a soft creaking noise, and then Dr. Phil reacting to that, saying the following.
You couldn't hear that up those stairs, through that cubby hole, and around through that cluttered room with the television on?
Now, in the story that Candice originally gave, she wasn't even in the house when Summer supposedly disappeared. She was outside with her mother fixing her knee brace, but basically outside for about 2 minutes, that sort of thing. I don't know whether I misunderstand here, and she's talking about that the boys would have heard the door open, but either way, she was outside, no way that she could have heard it. And the boys were, although inside, they had the television on, and it was some distance away. And that creak is a very soft creaking sound. And so you kind of have this contradiction where there's this sort of green light at the beginning saying, I don't think there's any possibility, and, I believe you. And then right at the end, or certainly somewhere else in the interview, well, regarding what you said here specifically, I don't know if I believe you. And so what do you think about that? Is it playing it both ways? Is there a contradiction? Is the contradiction material? And, it kind of comes back to the basic question that was asked right in the beginning, which is, are Summer's parents telling the truth? If not, why not? If not, which parent isn't telling the truth, or are they both not telling the truth? If they're both not telling the truth, why not? Now, you might also say, why are you making such a big deal about the little creak in the door? And it kind of comes down to, in a scenario where someone has disappeared, we're now approaching 6 months, then you've got to kind of ask the question, why are these little details, these small little details, problematic? Why are there problems with these details? Why would Candice also say something about, I don't want to talk about, I've done enough talking about this, I don't want to talk about it. Well, why are you going onto a show to talk about something only to withdraw and not want to talk about it? And there's more to it than that. When Candice appears at these prayer vigils, not quite sure if they're continuing, but when Candice has appeared at them, she hasn't said anything really. She hasn't offered up prayers audibly. So what is going on? So I'm not going to take it further than that. I have been criticized by a few people saying, we want to respond to what you're saying, and you also say, like, share, leave a comment, but then you disable comments. I've said this so many times before, I do not disable the comments. I would love for the comments to be there, but obviously there are people who would say in very unambiguous words what they think and make accusations, and this is a problem legally for some of the people involved, and probably for YouTube as well, and that is why the comments are disabled. I don't disable them. So if you do want to respond, you do want to have a conversation, go to the link where this particular video is posted on Twitter. I'll post all the videos I put up on Twitter, and then just go to the link and then go to the thread below the link and discuss. You can discuss it there on Twitter. Just go kind of through the link there, through the thread. I may also be doing a live this weekend. It might be Saturday night or Sunday night, or Saturday afternoon, Sunday afternoon. Watch this space for information. I'm not quite sure when it's going to take place, but it will be about Brian Laundrie. So look out for that. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you guys next time.
Nobody deceives like an addict.